And give a big Birmingham welcome to Mr. Joe McCall.
Thank you so much. I got something so cool to give to you guys. I've never done this before. Is this a small crowd, or is this normal, or is this...
This is big for us.
This is so awesome. I need to... you gave me the Wi-Fi code, didn't you?
Yeah, I can't even say it out loud.
You guys can see that?
Good. Killing me with that.
So, I'm going to give you guys something completely 100% free. Is it Hilton Honors, or is it, what's it called? It's really zoomed in. Okay, so hey, woo! So I tried, I didn't have time to figure this out. So,
did you see why I didn't want to say what it was?
I'm going to guess there's more Auburn fans here than Bama fans. Am I in the wrong place? I tell you, I'm so jealous of you guys because, you know, being in Missouri, we don't have much to root for when it comes to college football. Any Mizzou Tiger fans here? One, two. No? How many Roll Tide fans? How many Auburn fans? That's cool, though. It's a good mix. I went to Iowa State University. Iowa State Cyclones. So I've always been like really envious of people that are from big college football states like Alabama, Florida, Texas, you know, like Iowa. I mean, do you guys even know that there are two main universities in Iowa? You got the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones. So I'm excited about this. I thought about wearing an Alabama hat. But I thought, man, you guys are so fanatical about it down here. I mean, your fanaticism for college football is legendary in the Midwest, where I'm from. Right? There's a guy who goes to our church. He's an usher, and he used to play as a lineman for Auburn. And so he's always got his Auburn stuff on. And his wife, I start talking about football, she rolls her eyes. It's like, you know, every Saturday, nothing else matters. It could be nuclear disaster. It could be, you know, the president could be assassinated. He wouldn't care. He would not be watching the news. He'd be watching the football. So I got a lot of things I could share with you, and I already have an agenda. I have something I'm going to go through. I'm going to give you guys something at the end that you can get for free. And it's a course I created called Wholesaling 101. And I'm going to give you the entire course for free. And I'm going to walk through it a little bit. I'm also going to teach you a few things, tell you a little bit about my story. But I also want to be available to answer any questions you guys have. So as we go through, please feel free to raise your hands and say, hey, Joe, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that a little bit more? Can you, I want to record myself here. I always record my presentations. All right, so let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Who's heard of my podcast, Real Estate Investing Mastery? Nice, okay. Those of you that haven't, you should check it out. It's all free. I've got 500 and something episodes. I've been doing it since 2011. I have over 3 million downloads, listeners in over 170 countries. And it's like the least professional podcast you've ever heard. But I just share my heart. And I'm always on there talking about real estate. I'm interviewing other people who do a lot of real estate. I do these things now where I record my podcast as I'm driving, and I have this big old beast called the Ford. It's a Ford Excursion, 7.3 liter diesel. And we had to buy that thing because it's so big because I have 4 kids and we like to travel. And so that was the only thing that could pull our camper and have 4 kids and a wife and a dog in this thing. So I'll be driving down and you hear the loud engine, it's going, you know, and it's kind of raw. And I really enjoy doing that. But if you're interested in that podcast, go to iTunes, go to Google Play, any of your favorite podcast apps. It's all free, and just search for Real Estate Investing Mastery. All right, Real Estate Investing Mastery. And you can also go to realestateinvestingmastery.com. So anyway, I started that podcast in 2011. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I went to Iowa State, and I got a degree in civil engineering. It took me, this is embarrassing, it took me 7 years to graduate, right? I did work a lot during school. I was the only one in my family to go to college. My dad, we grew up dirt poor and like trailer trash poor, right? I heard a comedian say the other day, it was so funny. His name is Michael Jr. Who's ever heard of Michael Jr.? Is he funny? He said he grew up so poor that he had a family in Haiti sponsor him. I wasn't that poor. But, and I don't mean to make fun of poor people in Haiti, I'm sorry. But anyway, so I grew up in a trailer in Canada. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada is one of the places we lived. We had like one day of summer, and always cold, and we didn't have hardly any insulation. But I didn't know we were poor. It was just like my parents loved me. You know, they did get divorced, but I had a pretty good childhood. And I just knew I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get an education and make a lot of money. So I started getting an engineering degree. I got a civil engineering degree from Iowa State University. It took me a while. When I graduated, right before I graduated, I met my wife. We went to Prague in the Czech Republic, did a study abroad thing there for 5 months. Fell in love with Europe. And there's a reason I'm telling you that, because we spent a lot of time back there since then as well. So anyway, I got a job, moved to Kansas City, worked for Black & Veatch out of Kansas City, doing engineering stuff. And out of college back in 2000, I was making about 45, 50 grand a year, which is pretty good for a college graduate at that time. And I knew immediately I wasn't all that happy about punching in, punching out this clock, working in a cubic hell, I called it. It was frustrating. I felt like I was just a number in a huge corporate corporation. And I don't know, some of you may be working in that kind of an environment, working in a cubicle. It's pretty depressing. At least it was for me. I mean, maybe for you it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we should all be grateful and thankful we have jobs, right? And we live in a great country. And God bless the U.S., right? And but anyway, so I don't mean to complain, but I had a good job and I didn't like it. And so I started about this time hearing about real estate a little bit, had some interest. And my friend was taking a lot of the Rich Dad education classes and doing a lot of real estate investing. So I started studying real estate. My first house that we bought, we got transferred to a job out in California. So I decided to rent the house out, and we rented it out, and it was a nightmare. The tenants were from hell, and my property manager was the devil. And it was just like horrible. And I said, I'm never going to own any rental properties ever. A couple of years later, though, I read this book called The Secrets of a Millionaire Landlord. It's a good book, you should check it out. Secrets of a Millionaire Landlord. And he had a chapter in there talking about lease options and how you can rent properties to tenant buyers, and tenant buyers won't trash your property, they'll respect it more. So I thought, this is really interesting. And I started buying some other books on lease options. I started buying books from Wendy Patton, and some other guys on lease options. And I like the idea of being able to control property without owning it. So this was about 2004. I started getting into the, maybe a lot of you can relate, the buying course after course after course, going to boot camp and workshop and signing up for coaching and buying courses and repeating that cycle over and over and over again. I was spending a ton of money on education. I put about 13 grand into a coaching program on my credit card, and didn't have any results from it. Now, it wasn't their fault. It was all mine. I had excuse after excuse after excuse. I was busy. I had too many what-if questions. Being an engineer, I'm real analytical. I had to have all my ducks lined up. I had to have my I's dotted, T's crossed. I had to have all my what-ifs answered. I kept on having these nagging doubts like, yeah, but, I call them yeah, butters, right? I rail on yeah, butters on my podcast all the time because I used to be one. Yeah, but what about this? Like, what if the seller asks me this question, right? What if the seller says no? What if the seller says yes? What am I going to do? So I went through this vicious cycle of buying course after course and spending tens of thousands of dollars on education. You know that feeling, right? You get that crack cocaine high when you buy this new course and you like crack it open. Yes, I'm going to be rich, right? But then after a few days, it starts collecting dust, you know, and it starts getting overwhelming, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. It's a little scary. So then my wife's getting mad at me because I'm spending so much money on this stuff. Well, fast forward a couple years, I start actually buying houses. We go out and we get a bunch of bank loans. We start buying houses about 2007, 2006. Market's going up, it never will go down, right? You remember those days? I remember because I'm analytical, right? I looked at the historical charts like you would analyze a stock, and I'd see that housing prices always went up. And if you were conservative, you could figure on 5% appreciation, right? Over the last 100 years, it's gone down a little bit, but it will never go down. So I started ignoring the fundamentals and buying a bunch of properties that I didn't care about how much debt I had on them or how much over-leveraged I was. If it cash flowed $100, $200 a month, I was on my way to escape the rat race, right? I just needed a couple hundred of those, right? And I would pass the income from that would surpass my expenses, and it's easy. So, you all know what happened in 2008? Market starts falling, you know. One of the great things about real estate, by the way, that I love, is that with real estate, it's not like the stock market. If you own a stock, you can just turn on a dime, right? Like there's nothing you can do with a stock to build the value and to make the price go up, right? There's like nothing you can do. You can maybe go to the shareholder meetings and vote for board of directors or something, right? But there's like nothing you can do to increase the value of a stock. But with real estate, there's a lot you can do to increase the value. You can buy it low, you can sell it high, you can improve it, and all this good stuff, right? And you can buy it with leverage, tons of tax benefits and advantages. So I had a bunch of properties, but I was ignoring the fundamentals. And I was going to say this, one of the great things about real estate is that the housing market doesn't fall on a dime like the stock market does, right? There were tons of warning signs back then. And if you were just a student of the market, you could see that the days on market started getting a lot longer, you know? You start hearing, like, I have a friend who tells this story. He was getting a haircut, and the hairdresser, he had a ton of properties, and the hairdresser who was cutting his hair said, she was talking to another lady about how she just flipped the property, didn't do anything, and made 30 grand. And that's when that guy said, you know what, it's time for me to get out of the market. If my hairdresser who doesn't know anything about real estate can make a quick 30, then I'm getting out. And that's one of the things right now that scares me about cryptocurrencies. For those of you that follow that, you're hearing all these stories now of people that don't know anything about how that currencies work and currency exchanges, and I don't understand that either. And they're out there bragging about how much money they're making. Well, I'm a little nervous about that. I'm not predicting anything about that. But with housing, you could tell if you were studying it, like, days on market start getting longer and longer, right? Prices start going down. The markets get jittery. It's getting harder to get loans. It was harder, but it didn't fall on it like right immediately. It would be interesting to go back and study. It took 6 to 8, 12 months before it really collapsed. Remember when Lehman Brothers all of a sudden, and that's when the banks really shut the door. But there was warning signs like really clear for 6 to 12 months before that. So that's one of the great things about real estate. So anyway, I was ignoring the fundamentals. I bought a bunch of property with just a little bit of cash flow, counting on appreciation, and thinking that it was never going to go down. And so I was also then at this time starting to take over loans doing what's called subject to. We all heard of subject to. It's like when you take over an existing mortgage and the deed gets transferred to you, but the loan stays in the seller's name. So I was getting deals with 15, 20% equity. And then I was borrowing private money and putting a private lender in second position on these mortgages and borrowing my profits early. Because that's what some gurus said to do. Let me just tell you, if you have any course that tells you like you can borrow private money on a deal and borrow your profits early, burn that course. All right? That's a bad idea. Don't ever do that. So anyway, I start seeing the warning signs, but I'm not paying much attention. Then all of a sudden, the market starts falling and collapsing, and before I know it, in 6 to 12 months, I'm hemorrhaging cash. And I'm completely stressed out. All of our bank accounts are overdrawn, credit cards are all maxed out. Debt collectors are calling me all day at work and at home. Got a couple little kids. I have to beg the debt collectors, please stop calling my home. They're waking up my kids. I gave them my cell phone, please just call my cell phone. And so then they started calling me all day at work. You know the situation, you got your phone, and you're just praying that, like I always put my phone down, face down, because I didn't want anybody to see the caller ID, that it was Citibank or Chase or the trash company or the electric company calling me. My wife goes to Target, she puts all her stuff, this is like when it was really, really low. A low point for me. She puts all the stuff on the belt, you know, and there's people behind her, she's got the kids, and the card gets declined. You know that feeling too. I still get that today, man. You swipe your card and you're like, please, please be approved. I know I got plenty of money, but I still got that fear like, oh my gosh, please don't be denied. And so, you know, but she goes through and the card gets declined and she can't even write a check, you know, she doesn't have the cash and she has to leave the bags there and walk away. She's humiliated and embarrassed. Then one time she's at McDonald's, right, and the kids are hungry and she's trying to buy them a Happy Meal and the card gets declined and she has to drive away and the kids say, Mom, why are we leaving the food there? You know, what's going on? I can't even feed my kids a Happy Meal. We get knocks on the door from the sheriff serving us foreclosure notices on my rental properties. One time we got home from a camping trip. We went somewhere for a couple of days. We might have gone camping or something. We got home and all the lights were turned off. We couldn't get in the house because we had, we usually get in through the garage. We couldn't get in the house because the power had been turned off, right? So one of my kids crawled through the windows and we had to burn candles that night. We tried to make it fun for the kids. I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Any of you, can you maybe relate? You don't have to raise your hands, but like, I'd go to bed late at night, trying to figure out how I'm going to rob Peter to pay Paul, and stressed, just completely stressed. We're starting to get behind on our own mortgage, and my wife doesn't even know yet, okay? I get up at 4 in the morning in a cold sweat, completely stressed, not being able to go back to sleep. Got that tight feeling in my gut, like, oh God, how am I going to get out of this? You know, it was horrible. And then, you know, about a week before, I was trying to negotiate with the bank, and you know, it was just a complete cluster. Okay, and my back was against the wall, and this was about 2008, 2009. And so I had a ton of these mortgages that were subject to mortgages, right? And that's a big deal because if you're late on one of those mortgage payments, it's going to give the seller a 30-day late on their credit report, okay? You don't want to do that. So I was doing everything I could to pay these mortgage payments, which meant I would take these crappy bad tenants in just so that they could fog a mirror and they had enough money to make the next mortgage payment, I put them in the house. But then they would trash it up, and it just kept getting worse, and it was hard to evict them. But I never missed one of those sellers' mortgage payments. It was like day 30 or 29, right? But I never missed one of their mortgage payments, and it got really hairy and scary, and I was getting threatened, sued, lawsuits all the time. Well, anyway, to make a short story long, I said, you know what, I'm going to buy one more course, and I'm going to do what this guy says to do, and I'm not going to change anything. Because, I was in this thing, too, where, like, I'd buy this course, and I'd say, I like this thing and this guy, what this guy says, and I like what this guy says, and I like what this guy says. And I thought I knew better, right? I thought, like, I know. I didn't think, at the time, I remember this, too, I didn't think wholesaling was sexy. I wanted to do the big deals, right? I wanted to own rental properties. I wanted to do short sales. I wanted to do rehabs, and I wanted to do the big deals. I thought wholesaling was for beginners. It was for rookies. Of course, I was one, but I didn't want to admit that. I didn't want to do that stuff, right? But I'll do this and this, and I'll just like picking and choosing, right? And I'd buy course after course thinking that the next thing was like the magic pill that would, solve all my problems. Well, I said, all right, I'm going to buy one more course. And I bought this guy's course on virtual wholesaling. How many of you know Chris Chico? You heard the name Chris Chico? Super cool guy down in Florida. And I said, I'm just going to do what this guy says to do, and I'm not going to question or to change anything. I'm not going to mix and match it with my other stuff. And he does this thing where he's got this ugly postcard, and it's obnoxious. I didn't like it, but I said, all right, I'm just going to do it anyway. He says to do it, I'm going to do it. So pay attention here, because this is a good lesson for all you guys. Sometimes you may not need to buy another course. You've already got enough up here, and you already have some good courses. You just need to do what they tell you to do, right? So, and stop questioning it. Just trust it and do it. It works. So anyway, this guy says, send this ugly postcard. I said, I don't like it because it was not professional. It looked like I was not knowing what I was doing. But I said, all right, I'm going to send it anyway. And so I sent the postcard, and I got calls. And this guy had a script, and I didn't change it. I didn't add anything to it or take anything away. I just asked his questions exactly like he had them laid out. And others started saying yes. And then I had one seller, she called me on a house that, this is my first deal, my first wholesaling deal. Because I was hemorrhaging cash. I realized I've got to fix my cash flow problem. She calls me like 3 times, and I didn't like the house. I mean, it was way out in the sticks, about 30 minutes out in the country. And I'm already in the suburbs, but it's way even further out. And there was no comps there. It was a 3-family, multifamily, in an area where there were no multifamilies. And she called me 3 times. Was very persistent. And I said, I'm not interested. She begged me to buy her house, make an offer. Literally, begging me to make an offer. I found that it was expired the year before for $140,000. It expired the year before for $140,000. And I said, what should I do? I can give you maybe like $50,000 for it. Like, I couldn't get any comps, right? And she says, okay, fine. Like 50, like serious? She says, yeah. I said, okay. So what do I do now? And you'd think after all of that education I've had, 4 years, I would know what to do, right? Well, I went back to that guy's course. I said, okay, he's got this 1-page contract. It's ugly, I don't like it. I'm sure there's a bunch of legal loopholes in there, because I overanalyzed everything, right? So I didn't use that contract. Actually, I went and I got all my other courses together. I laid them all out. I got all the contracts together, and I took all of the clauses that I liked in all these contracts. It was ridiculous. I put them together. I had so many contingency clauses in there. I'm sure they got canceled each other out. But I put it in there, and it was like a 4-page contract. I was so nervous. She was elderly, so I made sure her son was with her. He was in his early 20s. And I met them at a YMCA. I was shaking. She just signed it. She was so desperate to sell her house. She just signed it. And I started asking her a little bit, like, why are you selling it? She just wanted the money because she was getting sick, and her kids were giving her a hard time, and she was just a disaster. Emotionally, she wanted some relief, and this is what this property, selling it that cheap, would give her this immediate relief. So anyway, I'm like, oh crap, she signed the contract. Now what do I do? And so I'm nervous. I put a sign in the yard in front, and it's on a main street, and I got under contract for 50. I decided I'd advertise it for 65. I thought surely nobody would take this. I started getting tons of calls on this sign. So this one guy calls me, he's a realtor. Oh crap, he's a realtor. No, it's not supposed to be like this. He says, I got a guy who wants to buy it, he'll pay cash, he can close in a week. I'm like, okay, well I got to tell you something. Let's see, I'm a wholesaler, and I don't really own the property, I just have it under contract, and is that okay? And the guy said, yeah, relax, it's all right. And so I said, okay, well, what do I do now? And he said, well, you have a contract, or no, just, so he wrote his own contract, and it was a realtor contract, but anyway, he sent it to me, and I said, I don't have a title company, like, what do? I don't know, do you know of a title company that will do double closings or assignments or whatever? And he said, well, you can just use my buyer's title company. It was in that local company, and in that local city, right? So I said, all right, so they gave me the name and number of the title company, and the realtor is just like, you've never done this before, have you? He said, no. I said, well, just let me help you and I'll take care of it. So the realtor sends the paperwork and all the disclosures and stuff like that. I didn't even have a seller's disclosure filled out, whatever. And the realtor is like helping me and sends all the paperwork to the title company. And I called the title company up and I said, I got to tell you something. I'm doing this thing called wholesaling, and have you know what that is? And I was like, I don't really own this property yet. I just have it under contract, and is that okay? Like, I just want to make sure that I'm screwing you up. The title company lady was like, chill out, relax, it's okay. And so anyway, I sold it like a week later, and after all my expenses and stuff, I made like 13 grand, something like that, right? I could not believe it. Like, I did what this guy says to do, and it works. It like actually works. After all those boot camps, and you see the gurus come up with the checks, and I thought, that's either BS or I'll never be like that, right? I'll never be that guy with the checks up there. I'm just like, that's ridiculous. I didn't believe any of it. And so here I am, now I'm the guy with the check. It actually works. I was so excited. It was like the happiest day, one of the happiest days of my life. It was amazing. So I knew this worked. And I was so excited. And then I realized, you know what? When I just trusted the system, when I just did what this guru said to do, like it works. Like maybe he does know what he's talking about. Like maybe I shouldn't try to mix match all these different strategies. Maybe I should just focus on one thing. Maybe wholesaling is sexy. Like maybe I can make a lot of money wholesaling. Maybe it's okay to be the wholesaler. And so I've done a lot of deals since then. And I know a lot of guys now that do a lot of rehabbing, and they own a lot of property, and they manage, and they do all these different things. And the wholesalers that I know are the happiest, the most stress-free, and are making the most money in the long run. The wholesalers are. Well, anyway, so fast forward about maybe a year, and I'm doing some wholesaling, 1 or 2 deals a month. I'm still trying to dig myself out of this hole. We did a short sale on our house, and my credit was trashed. But I started spending about 3 to 5 grand a month in marketing, and I was throwing away a lot of leads, right? And I started thinking about lease options. Remember I told you the story of lease options way back. You know what? I wonder, like all these leads that don't have any equity, maybe I can do something with those. Like maybe I can do a lease option with those leads that don't have any equity. This is when the market was really falling, right? Everybody was scared running to the hills. And I thought, you know what? Why can't I wholesale lease options? Why don't I do something with these sellers that don't have enough equity? Maybe they're a little upside down, but all the other wholesalers are just throwing these leads away, and I'm throwing a bunch of them away. I felt like I was wasting a ton of money on marketing, and I was. So I started asking sellers, instead of like, hey, do you want to sell your house for cash? I was asking them, would you maybe be interested in leasing your house to me for a couple of years and then selling? Yeah, great. So like what I found out was that I could do deals, I could do more deals if I could give sellers several options. I could give them a cash offer and maybe a lease option offer. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I like the lease option stuff. So I started, the way it works is like instead of, with regular wholesaling, you're flipping a contract to an investor or a cash buyer, right? With wholesaling lease options, you're flipping that lease option contract to a tenant buyer. You're getting a deal under a contract to lease option, and you're selling that lease option contract for a fee And I was making about $5 grand on average on these lease option assignments, these wholesaling lease option deals. So I started doing that, and within about 3 months of wholesaling lease options, as I later coined it, I was making more money doing that than I was in my full-time job. And I was working for a large electrical contractor building power plants, and I was making about 75, 80 grand a year. So I was making more money now flipping lease options part-time than I was in my full-time job. And I did it 3 months consecutively. So my wife was like, Joe, maybe you should quit your job. Like, because I was working already 50 hours, 60 hours a week at my job, trying to do real estate evenings and weekends. It was horrible. So I said, yeah. So I quit, and I've never looked back since, right? Since 2009, I've been working for myself. Never been in the cubicle again. It's funny, I was at a friend's office, because he has a software company, and he was saying, hey, come on, you can rent some office space with us. And I said, oh, I'll check it out. Oh my gosh, like I walk in, and there's none of the window offices left. It's just cubicles in the middle. And I walk in there, and I literally felt sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh, I could never work in here. I was feeling literally sick. I about doubled over. Just bad. It gives me shivers when I think about cubicles. So it's been pretty cool, right? And it's been a wild ride. I've had so much fun. I remember once I bought this guy's course, like after I was wholesaling, right? I went on this like fast for a couple of years where I didn't buy any courses. Right? I just said, I'm going to do what these guys say to do. You know, the best real estate that you'll ever invest in is the 4 inches between your ears, right? So I believe in education. I believe it's important for you to invest in a coach, get a good coach and a mentor. You guys have Brian here. He's a great investor. I know him personally for a couple of years now. I think I know Brian. You guys are blessed to have somebody like him leading this group here, okay? So I believe in education. I remember I wanted to learn more about lease options because I was doing a lot of wholesaling. So I bought this guy's course. His name is Todd. He doesn't sell his course anymore. It's called Lease Purchase Wealth. I later bought the rights to the course, and it's in my course now. But it's called Lease Purchase Wealth. And in there he talks about the 3 or 4 different ways to do lease options and make money with lease options. And one of the bonuses of getting the course was I got a free call with him. And I was so nervous, you know, and I remember I was out in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, working on this power plant in a town called Coffeen, if any of you have heard of that. You've heard of Coffeen?
Where my mother was from.
Oh, I better not say anything bad about Coffeen. That's so funny. So Coffeen, I was at Coffeen, Illinois, at one of those small little restaurants, like a local restaurant or something. And I had a call with him about 7 o'clock at night. It must have been like 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And I was sitting in my car at that parking lot and talking to him, and I said, Todd, listen, be honest with me. Can I really make a full-time income doing this business? Like, please be honest with me, right? I'm tired of BS. And he said, there was a long pause, and I said, well, I asked him a bad question. He said, yes, you really can. I'm like, okay, I believed him. I thought, I believed him. I believe that I can do it. And it's something in me just triggered, like, okay, yeah, I can do it. And Todd and I have become real good friends since then. And he's probably doing $300,000 to $400,000 a month right now in wholesaling, right? So I thought, man, yes, I can do it. And then just somebody, I guess, having somebody tell you, like, yes, you can do it. Maybe that's some of you guys need to hear that. Like, you can do it, man. You can actually make money in real estate. You can be that guy with the check on the PowerPoints, right? Keep it simple. Don't complicate it. Keep it simple. And the guru, I thank God for gurus, by the way. It's popular to bash gurus. You see it on different forums and websites. You know, everybody's bashing the gurus. I thank God for the gurus. I thank God for the Robert Kiyosaki's and Carlton Sheets and Russ Whitney. You remember Russ Whitney? You know, they're not saints. They have their issues, but like, if it wasn't for them putting their neck on the line and publishing this stuff and helping people, you know, I was coached by people that were coached by people that were coached by Robert Allen. You know, it's like goes down. Some of those guys are still around. But, here's the thing. Stop asking all of these what-if questions. Like, what if this? What if that? Like I said before, the yeah butters. Stop thinking about yeah but and giving yourself excuses for not taking action. A better question to ask is, what next? What next? All right? You guys know what you need to do. You want to make 10 grand a month in real estate, let's say. It's a good round number. All right, let's work the numbers backwards. So write this down and you have a pen and paper. It's really, really simple. I'm going to give you the secret to success in real estate investment. It starts with a marketing plan. Okay? We are in the marketing business. We're not in the real estate business. We are in the marketing business. It starts with a marketing plan. So you want to make 10 grand a month. And let's say your average profit is $5,000. So how many deals do you need to do a month? 2. Good. Let's say you need, just to keep it round numbers, you need 50 leads to do 1 deal. So how many leads do you need per month? 100. Okay, you probably should be doing better than that, but just being conservative. You need 50 leads, you need 100 leads per month. Now, how are you going to get 100 leads? Well, that's about 25 per week, approximately. Okay? About 5 per day. You need 5 leads per day. This is the secret to success, right? Talk to 5 sellers a day. Talk to 5 sellers a day. How many active full-time wholesalers are in the room right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. Those of you guys, I won't ask you, but those of you guys that are doing deals now, you talk to about 3, does you or your team talk to about 3 to 5 sellers every day? I see nods, yes. Up more than that, Ryan is saying. Yeah. All right. Make it a goal to talk to 5 sellers a day. And I want to tell you this. Make an offer to every seller you talk to. Make an offer to every seller you talk to. I don't care if they even tell you to kill yourself, jump off a cliff, and whatever they're going to say, right? Send them an offer in the mail. Okay? And follow up with them. So, in this business, marketing is everything. Everything is marketing. You're in the marketing business. So if you want to do deals and make money, this is really, really simple. You need to talk to 5 sellers a day. So now, you need to talk to 5 sellers a day. What's your marketing plan? You need a plan for how am I going to get 5 leads a day? What I like to do is break it down to maybe 35% of my deal leads come from postcards, maybe 35% of my leads come from yellow letters, maybe 35%, whatever the numbers are, come from Craigslist. And what I mean by that is texting or calling or emailing Craigslist ads, rentals for sale by owners, okay? And you work the numbers backwards. If you get an average of 1% response rate on your postcards, maybe 3, 4, 5% with your yellow letters, then you can figure out the numbers working backwards on how much mail you need to send every day or every week, how many Craigslist ads you need to send text messages to every day, right? So I've just given you the formula now, so stop asking what if, start asking what next. So the first what next is create a marketing plan. You guys should be able to do that tonight, before you go home. Do it before you go home. Don't wait till tomorrow morning because you won't do it. Come up with a plan. And usually it looks like this. All right, every week I'm going to send 500 postcards. Okay? Every day I'm going to send 25 yellow letters. Maybe you could send yellow letters to rentals on Zillow. Rentals on Zillow are a great list to send yellow letters to. I would get probably 10-15% response rate on my yellow letters to rentals on Zillow. Think about it. They're vacant. They're vacant homes. And I like dealing with nice homes, by the way, because I flip lease options. But so yellow letters to rentals on Zillow. Great list to mail to. Maybe you could mail to probates. I don't know if you can get on the court records. Maybe you can get, if they're public, you can get evictions. Sorry, you wholesalers back there, for giving away your secrets. But if you can go to the court records online or go to the courthouse itself and find out who are the evictions, who are the landlords that are doing evictions right now. Fantastic list to mail to. What about code violations, right? Or judgments, or divorce, or probate, late taxes? These are specialty lists. I like to mail postcards to the big lists, right? High equity, absentee owners, but send yellow letters to the smaller specialty lists. What if you could send 500 postcards a week to high equity owner occupants in good targeted zip codes, maybe 25 yellow letters a day to these people? Just write that down. What about then sending maybe 15 to 20 text messages a day to landlords and for sale by owners on Craigslist? How much does it cost to send a text message, by the way? Free. And you don't have to be using your phone either. You could use something like, there's this website called Vumber with a V, Vumber. It gives you virtual phone numbers and you can send text messages online. So there you go. You got, and then what else could you do? Like maybe you could go and make 5 offers a day on MLS properties. One of the things we like to do is we'll go in and we'll look for properties that have been on the market for over 60 days that need work. Right? And maybe after you've done all that, then you start looking at homes that have been on the market over 30 years. But you can do this in Redfin. I don't know if Redfin's available down here, but like, you know, if you have access to the MLS or Zillow or any of these other sites, you can find properties that have been on the MLS for longer than, let's say, 60 days that need work. One of the things our VAs do, is my VAs do this for me, they'll go in every day, look for the ones that just hit the 60 days, and they'll look at pictures and they'll see the ones that need work, and they'll send these emails to the realtor. An email to the realtor, not a real offer, not a contract, just an email that says, hey, my name is Joe, I'm interested in this property. Listen, I'm an investor. Do you think your client might be interested in something in this ballpark range? Listen, if this email is going to offend them, just delete it, don't worry about it. But I'm really interested, let me know. What I'm doing is I'm sending what I call a soft pass offer to these realtors of these properties, right? And I'm just giving them a range. And so my VA will just go to Zillow and do a 70% of Zillow, 70 to 75% of Zillow, and make sure that's still less than like 85% of the list price. That's all she does, right? She sends these. Now, can you imagine doing just 5 or 10 of those a day? So you're doing 500 postcards a week, you're doing 20, 25 yellow letters a day, sending 20 text messages a day, and maybe making 5 to 10 email offers to a realtor. Do you think you might do a deal if you do that? Like everything I just told you right there, you can outsource to somebody else. You can do your direct mail to a printing company. Go to yellowletters.com if you want. You can do letters and postcards there. You can outsource the texting and the emails to a virtual assistant, $2 an hour virtual assistant in the Philippines. But you understand now, everything is marketing and marketing is everything. We are in the marketing business. So you want to make 10 grand a month, you work it backwards to a marketing plan. Then you put all those numbers in a scorecard. I get students that complain sometimes like it's not working, it's hard, I'm discouraged. I say, okay, listen, I'm not like, what's the word? I'm not a motivational coach, right? If you want some inspiration, go watch Tony Robbins on YouTube, or go watch Michael Jr. on YouTube, right? Get a smile on your face, but like, it's really simple. How many offers did you make in the last week? How many sellers did you talk to? None? Okay, well, maybe it would be working for you if you started talking to people, right? Like 5 a day. Let me just ask you right now, who is willing to accept that challenge to talk to 5 sellers a day? Raise your hands. Half of you are, half of you aren't, or you just don't want to raise your hand. But like, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but like, if you really want to do deals, it's that simple. Talk to 5 sellers a day. That is the magic formula. And I'm not going to even charge you anything for that. That's the secret. Talk to 5 sellers a day. And you know what? You're going to mess it up. You're going to make mistakes. And you're going to fall flat in your face. So what? What's the worst that can happen? They say no. Okay. But you're going to learn. You're going to practice. You're going to get better. Okay? So stop asking, what if this happens? What if that happens? Just say, okay, what next? What next? I got to create a marketing plan. Okay, I'm going to write, I got this thing down, I got it on a scorecard now, I'm going to keep track of my numbers. I'm going to talk to 5 sellers a day, come hell or high water, right? Like even if it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm tired, I'm going to go to Craigslist and I'm going to send 3 emails or something, right? Like I'm just going to do it every single day. And eventually you're going to get sick of it and you're going to hire someone to do it for you, right? But like you're going to do it every single day. You get some calls and you say, okay, what next? The seller just called me, what do I do next? Well, hopefully you call a coach like Brian. What do I do next? I'm so excited. Then, well, he says, okay, just call the seller back, ask them these 3 questions. These are 3 good, simple questions. Write these down. So, what's your situation? Notice I'm not asking, tell me about the house yet, but I just want to know what their situation is. What is their story? It's a great question, number 1. What's your situation? The next question I like to ask is, well, what would you like to see happen? It's the second question. These are open-ended questions that get them to talk. And then the third question is, well, how quickly do you need to sell? That's it. And then through that, I'll ask them about the house, what's the address, what's the lease you take, things like that. Just simple questions, right? I had a student who before he was a student, he couldn't afford my course. He was a college student at Mizzou. And he calls me and says, Joe, I just did like 15 grand. I did 15 grand in my first deal. Can I buy your course now? I said, yeah. I said, tell me what you do. He said, well, I listened to your podcast, I listened to Sean Terry's and some others, and he had this what's next attitude, right? So what he did is like, he listened to us on all this free stuff out there. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to start sending emails and text messages. And he started posting ads in Craigslist, actually, is what he did. He started posting ads in Craigslist. We buy houses, right? He had a seller call him. He's like, crap, what now? What do I do next? So he listened to some podcasts, and then he went out and he went to Office Max or Office Depot. You know those generic contracts they have there, like where you can lease and buy things or whatever. He gets one of the 2-page generic contracts, spent like $5 on it, and gave it to the seller. The seller signs it. He's like, crap, what do I do next? And then he says, well, he figures out he's going to put some signs out in the area, and he puts another ad in Craigslist selling this contract. And before you know it, not having all of his I's dotted, not having it all figured out and laid out before him, just by asking what next, he makes like 15 grand on his first deal. And he didn't even have any real contracts. He was using those Office Depot contracts. I love stories like that, right? I have this other lady who is I haven't talked to her in years, but she was one of my first students, and she had like 3 kids. She was a stay-at-home mom. The dad was working full-time. She wanted to make some extra money for the family. They were blue-collar, really cool family, and they needed more money. They wanted more money. And so she could not talk to people ever on the phone. I can say this because I have 4 kids. Like, her kids were crazy, loud, and obnoxious, right? They were always screaming and crying or laughing and playing or tugging on mommy, wanting her attention, wanting to eat, whatever, right? She could literally not talk to people on the phone. So you know what she did? She's like, I've got to make this work. Where there's a will, there's a way. So she actually started just doing deals. Every week she would randomly pick a new market in Craigslist, a new city, and start sending out emails and text messages. And then would start doing deals, flipping lease options with just by email and texting. Okay? She said once in a while I'd have to call, make some phone calls to find a realtor in that local market to help me advertise the properties, But she did all of her deals. She was doing about 2 to 3 deals a month on average. Doing them all just by email and texting without ever picking up the phone and talking to people. Like, she just had that attitude, I'm going to make it happen and nobody's going to tell me that I can't do it. Love that. So you really have no excuses, right? You may not know what to say to the sellers. I just gave you those 3 questions, right? Ask those questions. You may not know what to offer to the seller. You know what? Pick a number out of the thin air and just offer it. See what they say, right? You may not have the contracts. You may not have. And by the way, I'm going to give you all of that stuff here in a minute in this mind map. But stop asking what if, right? And start asking what next. that make sense, guys? I hope I would have heard that, and I probably did, but I ignored it. But I hope somebody would have slapped me across the face back then and said, listen, stop complicating it, right? It's really simple. It's not that hard. Stop making it so difficult. Just do these simple, basic things. I wrote a book called Brilliant at the Basics. It's not available anymore. I'm going to have to revise it. But it's just like, you want to know who's doing a lot of deals and look at them. They have one thing in common. They're brilliant at the basics. They just do those basic things better than anybody else. It's really that easy. Everybody in here can do that. Is that good? Is that cool? Do you guys understand that? All right, so I'm going to walk through. What time am I supposed to be done, Brian?
It's on you.
All right. 9 o'clock? No, I'm just kidding. It's 20 till-ish. So, all right, I'm going to give you guys this mind map. And it's pretty crazy. I don't know why I did this, except I just wanted to, I kind of did this for my coaching students, because in my coaching program, I teach people more like advanced strategies like lease options, how to do automated wholesaling. Well, I didn't talk about this. So I talked about Prague, and I'll get to this mind map in just a minute. My wife and I love Prague, right? And we just have a lot of really cool memories there. We have 4 kids. We've adopted all of our kids. And so we thought, and we homeschooled them because we always wanted to be able to travel and homeschool. We're not like anti-public school, sort of. Sometimes we are. But we're not like anti-public school. We just are pro-homeschool because of the freedom. I mean, just last week, we took our RV to Indiana because I was speaking at a real estate club in Indiana. And then we traveled around for a week, going to some campgrounds and looking at the beautiful fall foliage. I'm not kidding. This has been one of the beautiful falls that I've ever seen. And it hasn't even come here yet to Alabama. I was flying over here, and there were still a ton of green trees. So if it's anything like it was in the Midwest and Kentucky and Indiana and Missouri, you guys are in for a real treat. Like, enjoy it. It's beautiful, right? Well, we were driving for a week through all of that stuff. So anyway, I knew, like, when early on, I wanted to be able to do deals from anywhere in the world. And I really started thinking about, like, I wrote down all the steps of how to wholesale deals, and I asked myself a real simple question. How can I do none of this? Right? How can I do none of it? How can I get someone else to do all of it? And so I started developing systems and techniques or tools, and I started partnering with local wholesalers. I started finding virtual assistants, and I just started giving it all away. And pretty soon, the first time we went to Europe, we were there for 2 months with all of our kids. It's funny, when you go to Europe, they like are anti-family sometimes, you know, and you get these weird looks from people when they see that you have 4 kids. But here we are in Prague, living there on an Airbnb place, and just had a blast. And we would travel all over Europe, and I was doing deals from Prague in the United States. And the first time we went, we were doing a lot of lease options. And then about 2 years later, we went on a 3-month RV trip through the northwestern corner of the U.S. It's amazing over there. It's so incredible. We saw about 10 different national parks. We were teaching our kids throughout the whole thing while we were there, you know. Taking them to they did all of the junior park ranger programs at the national parks, you know. It was so amazing teaching them like natural science and stuff like that there in these beautiful national parks. But doing deals, there was 1 month I made like $32,800. I documented it on one of my webinars. Just in doing wholesaling in about 2 or 3 different markets, while from an RV in Yosemite. Like, what? What other business can you do that? Can you flip deals in cities that you've never been to, from sellers that you've never met, from houses that you've never seen, to buyers that you've never talked to? So the way I did it was real simple. I had an assistant to do my marketing, and virtual assistant to run in my marketing. And I had an assistant that pre-screened the leads, and I would give them to a local wholesaler, and the wholesaler would work the leads, and we'd split the deal 50-50. That's all we did. I started doing a lot of that. Well, then, a year after that, we went back to Prague again for 3 months, and it was amazing. If I were to show you pictures, it's so beautiful. We were staying in these 800-year-old chateaus in southern France. I mean, come on. I love this business, right, because it allows you to do that kind of crazy stuff. Why not? If I'm flipping deals in my backyard without ever seeing the house? Why can't I flip deals while traveling around the country? That may not be your thing, right? But maybe you just want to work from home at the pool. Maybe you just want to work from Starbucks, right? If you just are really good at those simple, basic things, you can have that kind of business, okay? Be brilliant at the basics. And so when I was actually in those national parks, it's when I wrote that book called Brilliant at the Basics. Just helping people, trying to help people remember that don't complicate it. Just keep it really simple and get good at those simple, easy things. All right? Ignorance on fire, by the way, is always better than knowledge on ice. Have you heard that phrase before? Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. So don't think you have to know it all. Just keep it simple. Stick to the basic thing. Now, in this course that I'm going to give, this is a mind map, and I'm going to give you the link to this mind map. Okay? It's a view-only permission, so you can't get in here and edit anything or change anything or damage it. And I did about 15 videos of me walking through this entire mind map. And I gave in here, I gave in there the marketing plan I talked about. It's like a spreadsheet. You guys can put that marketing plan in a spreadsheet. My favorite marketing pieces, like the letters and postcards that I use. My seller and buyer scripts, when you're talking to sellers and buyers, like what do you say? Offer calculators, so like it's a spreadsheet, real simple, on how to make multiple offers to sellers. You just plug in numbers from Zillow, and it calculates a cash offer and a lease option offer for you. Repair sheets, it's a little intimidating sometimes, right? When you're walking around the house, you're like, I have no idea even what needs to be fixed. Like, this is hairy, it's freaking scary. So this repair sheet, the cool thing about it is, it's like you put it on a clipboard if you wanted to, and you can walk around the house. You need a new roof, you check, yes. You need new windows, how many windows do you need? 6. You need new flooring, yes. And it tells you like numbers, and you can calculate a repair estimate. Anybody can do this. And you'll be within 10%, 15% of like a professional contractor's estimate. It's amazing. And you would just use something like that on your initial offer. Right? Once you get it under contract, you want to get a professional contractor to inspect it. But like that repair sheet is invaluable. Like it'll save you a ton of hair. I'm looking over some of you that are bald. I'm kind of bald too, but like you'll save yourself whatever hair you have left. I'm going to give you my contracts as well for purchasing and signing these deals. And I also give you a ton of templates and tools that we use. So this mind map, it's all in there. And what I've done up here is, so I have in the mind map itself here, I have the videos of all of this stuff, right? So if you click on this, it'll open up a page where you can watch the video. And if you don't like to watch videos, I have all of these, we're transcribed. These videos were transcribed right here. So you can read the transcriptions of all 15 of these videos. I think you guys are going to be impressed. Now, I'll give you the link here in a minute. Let me talk about a few more things. I'm just going to walk through this. And then I want to open it up for questions, okay? I have nothing to sell you guys tonight. I like Brian so much. He asked me to come. I said, yeah, cool. I wanted to share a little bit of my story. And you guys might have questions about outsourcing, virtual assistants, maybe what are some of the systems and tools that you use and things like that. I'd be more than happy to answer these questions here in just a minute. I want to talk about one thing here real quick. Your speed to income is directly proportional to your speed of implementation. Your speed to income is directly proportional to your speed of implementation. So I've given you enough gold nuggets already just in this little tiny bag that I'm hoping some of you will really take that to heart and start implementing it tonight. You know, maybe right after you leave, take that marketing plan and decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do for marketing every day and every week, and I'm going to start talking to 5 sellers a day. It doesn't matter if I don't know what to say, if I'm going to screw up, it's okay. So your speed to income is directly proportional to your speed of implementation. I would also say your speed to doing deals is directly proportional to how many offers you make, right? How many, I'm sorry? It's a numbers game. Can you imagine, I mean, if you just made 3 offers a day, let's say you talk to 5 sellers, you make offers to 3 of them. On a 20 days a month, 25 days, that's what, 60, 70 offers that you make a month. 70 offers a month, all right? Well, over 3 months, that's 200 and something offers, 210 offers a month. You think you might do a deal if you can make 200 offers in 3 months? One of them is bound to stick, right? But some of you are like, well, what if they accept my offer? What am I going to get? It's okay. Like, you can still, like, you have standard inspection contingency in the contract in your offer. Well, if your price is too high during that inspection contingency, you can cancel your contract. Okay? Some of you are worried about what to say to the seller to cancel out of the contract. Let me give you the 3 R's. I don't know why I'm thinking of this right now, but some of you are a little nervous about making 3 offers a day, and you're like wondering, well, how do I back out if I make a bad offer? The 3 R's, I like to blame it on the numbers. When I have to go back to the seller and renegotiate, I blame it on the numbers. I blame it on the 3 R's. Rents, the rents aren't as high as I thought they were. The repairs, it needs more repairs than I thought it needed. And resale value, resale. Like, it's not as high, the value is not where I thought it would be. So just blame it on the numbers. I crunched the numbers in my calculator, and I have 3 problems here. I underestimated the rents, I underestimated the repairs, and I overestimated the resale value. It's just not going to work for me. I'm going to have to either cancel this contract, Mr. Seller, or we need to renegotiate a new price. Simple as that, right? So you got to do that within the inspection contingency. So don't let the fear of making a bad offer stop you from making offers. Just make them anyway. And then what I would suggest you do, find some of these guys that are wholesaling deals right now in this REIA group and say, hey, listen, if I get one of these offers accepted, would you partner with me on it? And we'll split the deal 50-50. I don't know, Brian, or some of you wholesalers out there, if one of these guys gave you a contract, would you be willing to partner with them? Yeah, who wouldn't? It's like, so you can now partner with other wholesalers that are here that already have the buyers, they already have the title companies, or do you guys use attorneys or title companies? Title companies? Both? Right. They already have the money to close on the deals, they have the contracts, they know which title companies to use that will let you do double closings or assignments or whatnot, right? And partner with somebody who's already done a bunch of deals. So make offers. Make offers. You have no more excuses. Don't worry about if you make a mistake, right? And if you start making a lot of offers, some of these wholesalers are going to see what you're doing. And like, if you're showing a lot of effort, they're going to start giving you advice. Like, you know what? Next time, maybe avoid this area. Next time, this is how I calculate offers in these areas. I know a lot of wholesalers, and they'll just make offers based on what it will rent for. Like, they take the rent and multiply that by 35 or 40. That's their offer. But you don't know that until you start actually doing it, right? Does that make sense? So make offers. Make offers. Now, let me just give you some of the tools that you need to get started. A simple CRM. There's 2 CRMs that I recommend, and I know some of you use others. The 2 that I like, one of them is called FreedomSoft, and the other one's called Podio. Who has heard of either of those? Raise your hand. Okay. Podio, Brian, what do you use? Do you use Podio?
I use your Podio system that you gave me.
Yeah, okay. I actually have a website, podiojoe.com. The Podio hasn't sent me a cease and desist letter yet, but I haven't really updated that in a couple of years, so I'm not telling you to go buy it, but like, I'm going to be revising it soon. I'm going to be calling it Podio Simplified. Like, I'm going to be, so Podio, what it is it's like $9 a month, $14 a month. And it's a blank template, and you can build your own database. So I built a bunch of apps in Podio for real estate investing, right? Now, there's some drawbacks to it because if you're like technically challenged if all you know on a computer how to do is like left click and right click, then maybe Podio is not the good fit for you, right? FreedomSoft, you're going to pay about $97, $197 a month for something like that. But it's got all the stuff you need in there, right? Like it'll create the contracts for you, it'll send text messages for you, it'll let you send emails through it. You can, it does a lot of it, it gives you websites. There's a lot of tools and there's others out there, but like Podio is, you kind of have to understand a little bit some technology and how to build databases. Like it's drag and drop databases. You don't have to know programming, but like you can build your own stuff. Anyway, you need a really good CRM. And one of the tools I suggest you look at is Podio and or FreedomSoft. Who else does anybody here use anything else for their CRM? You've got to have a CRM. Like if you're going to take this business seriously, you've got to have a database. I know wholesalers that are doing north of 6 figures a month, and they're just using simple spreadsheets. But you need to have something where you track all your leads. Nothing falls through the cracks. There's no lead left behind. You make an offer to every lead, and you follow up with every single lead, every single one. Okay? So you need a database to help you with that stuff. Okay? Another important tool are local virtual phone numbers, not your personal cell. And here are 2 or 3 that I recommend, and I already talked about Vumber. McCall AlaREIA is another really good service. It's not as cheap as Vumber, but you need a virtual phone number because you don't want to be using your cell phone. The cool thing about Vumber and McCall AlaREIA is it's like a virtual phone number. So if you dial your Vumber from your cell phone and then dial the seller's phone number, the seller will see your virtual phone number on their call ID. Does that make sense? And so even though you're using your phone, they don't see your cell phone number. And you can also send text messages from your laptop to sellers, and it comes from a virtual phone number. All right? Do you need any websites? Not really. It's important eventually to get a website, but don't think that you have to have all these systems set up before you actually start doing marketing and talking to sellers, okay? And don't, a lot of beginning students and investors get tripped up with like worrying about their credibility. Like what if the seller asks me questions I don't understand, I don't know the anser to? What if they ask me how many deals have you done? What am I going to say? That's why it's important to be in these kinds of real estate investment clubs because you can build partnerships, you can find coaches like Brian, and you can tell sellers if they ask you those questions, like that's a good question. Me and my business partner, Brian Trippe, we've done hundreds of deals here in the market, and maybe I can get him on the phone and talk. You know what I'm saying? So don't let the excuse of like, I'm inexperienced trip you up. And don't think that you have to have all these things in place before you start doing deals. But websites are nice. They're good to have. There is a company called Investor Carrot. They have this OnCarrot is their website, oncarrot.com. I love Investor Carrot websites. I'm an affiliate. And if you go to joelikescarrots.com, that's my affiliate link. joelikescarrots.com, or just go to oncarrot.com. That's their website. They can give you websites in like 5 minutes. You've got a full seller website, a buyer website, private lender website. I even have a lease option website, a land investing website. So Investor Carrot is really cool. They're going to run you about, do you remember, does anybody know, $50 to $100 a month? 97 a month for 3 different websites, I think, right? They're really good. So don't spend too much time on that. But you need a CRM and you need a phone. All right. In the videos, we walk through all of this stuff. A lot of this I've already talked about. Vumber also gives you voicemail, so you can have it, the cool thing about Vumber, I forgot to mention this, like you want to have every different marketing campaign have a different unique phone number. So you know where the leads are coming from, right? If you see a call coming from this number, you know it's coming from your yellow letters.
If you see a number call coming from this number, you know it's coming from your Craigslist text messages or whatever. And so Vumber will let you get multiple phone numbers for like $4 or $5 a month. And so I think I have 70 or 80 of them. It's a little embarrassing. I got way too many. But every different campaign I do, marketing campaign, in all the different markets that we're doing deals in, I get a different phone number. And immediately when that lead comes into Podio, I know what marketing campaign it's coming from. That's one of the really cool things about something like Vumber. And by the way, FreedomSoft gives you phone numbers as well, built in. Okay, let me show you one other thing here, and I'm going to show you, I have a calculator here. All right, I'm going to show you one other thing. When you get this mind map, there's going to be a search bar up there at the top. And if you're looking for something in the mind map, if you go to the search bar and type it in, it'll take you somewhere in the mind map. This mind map is huge. And so you may be looking at it thinking, well, where was Joe talking about that postcard? Well, you can type in postcard and it'll take you right into the mind map where the postcard is. But I have a calculator in there. All right, there it is. I have this calculator that I'll show it to you right now, but you can get to there by just clicking that search thing, and it takes you to this calculator. Now, this calculator only gives you quick cash offers. It doesn't. I don't talk about lease options in this. But one of the things I do is I like to. Is big enough to see? I don't know how to make it much bigger, but one of the things that I do is I make an offer to every lead that comes in. If the lead is semi-motivated, warm, I send it to my local wholesaler or my acquisitions manager, and he sets an appointment and goes and meets the seller. If it's cold, a cold lead, that's like about 80% of them. It goes into the CRM, and my VA sends an offer. Okay, my virtual assistant will send an offer. And all she does is go to Zillow and put into the yellow fields the things from Zillow. So she'll put in the Zestimate, she'll put in the square footage and the estimated rent. And she'll also put in, I estimate repairs at either $5, $10, or $15 a square foot. Okay? So I'm just making really quick offers. I'm going to send them to the seller in the mail. I would really encourage you to send offers as follow-up to every seller you talk to in the mail. So I have a cover letter that says, hey, Jim, it was great talking to you earlier today about your house at 123 Main Street. I know you don't want to sell it now, but listen, if circumstances change, please keep this letter for future reference, okay? And attached are maybe 3 different options of what we can offer you, okay? I give them a cash offer, seller financing offer, and a lease option offer. My VA does all of that. From the Philippines, she'll put the numbers in there. She clicks a button, it creates the letter. She clicks another button, and she mails it to the seller through click to mail. I don't want to get too technical and detailed here, but it's really awesome. In Google Docs, there's an add-on called Click to Mail. And there's a website, click the number 2 mail. If you have an account, you have prepaid credits, you can set it up where you click a button, and Click to Mail will actually print the letter from the United States and mail it to the seller same day. First class, it's amazing, right? It costs like 85-90 cents for a 2-page letter. So imagine if you have now your VA sending letters like that every month to the sellers, right? One of the things our VAs do, this is pretty ninja, they'll take either from a Google Street View, they'll snap a little picture of the house, or from a Zillow rental, they'll take a picture of the house, and they'll put it on a postcard and send the seller a postcard saying, hey, do you want to sell this house? We want to buy it. And my VAs can do that, right, from the Philippines. And they can send these things all day long through Click to Mail. Anyway, so here's a simple spreadsheet, and there are different ways to make offers. And I wanted to bring this up because this is important. In Birmingham and Alabama, you guys that are wholesaling a lot of deals, you're probably wholesaling a lot of deals to landlords. And you're probably wholesaling a lot of deals to out-of-state landlords or through companies that are providing turnkey rentals, right? And so a lot of times, when you're making offers on $30,000, $40,000 houses, you can't use the typical Mayo formula. You take the after repair value times a certain percent, minus repairs, minus your wholesale fee. There is no ARV for these rental properties, right? Because like there is no retail value of these homes. So you need to make your offer based on return on investment, on a cap rate, or on a percent. Like I hope I'm making sense, but like this house that's worth about 55, maybe they're asking 55 grand for it. It rents for maybe $650 a month. Well, you need to know how to calculate quickly an offer based on the rent and what kind of return on investment it's going to give to the end buyer, right? So all my VA does is she puts on here the square footage, for like an example, $12.99. The seller says it doesn't need any work on the phone. I'm going to put $5 a square foot in here. I put $5 a square foot. Let's say it rents for $800 a month. I'm going to figure 40% of my rent for expenses. That's taxes, repairs, or taxes, insurance, property management, vacancies, maintenance, anything else that you got. About 40%, right? And I know my investor from California wants 12% net cash on cash return. All right? So I put in here 12%. I figure out what my net annual cash flow is on this property. I figure out I want to make a $7,500 wholesale fee, and I'm figuring at least $500 for closing costs or whatever. And it just quickly gives me an offer, 33 grand for that house. Now, for a property in Birmingham that rents for $800, it just needs a little bit of cosmetic work. Is 33 grand a good offer? Is it? Kind of. You'd be able to sell it for 41, maybe? Well, I don't know. But that is a quick, simple, dirty, maybe you can adjust the numbers if you need to, but my VAs can do that for me, right? And then I also, if it's a rehab property, there's another little calculator for that. Oh, and this is how I calculate comps. Don't complicate it. So my VA goes to Zillow, ePraisal, iComps.com, Redfin, RealQuest Express, and just puts in the values in there and averages them. That's how I find my ARV. Super simple, I don't overthink it. If you're spending more than like 1 minute trying to find comps when you're in the initial making offer phase, you're spending too much time, okay? If it takes you more than 1 or 2 minutes to calculate repairs, you're wasting too much time. This is just like in the initial offers, right? So little spreadsheets like this are helpful, right? Just plug in some numbers from Zillow, get an average for comps, and just make the offer. So many people that I see in this business spend way too much time, like even before, like a seller calls, leaves a voicemail, gives you their address, and says, "I'm interested, you know, call me," or whatever. How many of you have done this? Like you're nervous, you're like, "Oh, I need to do a bunch of research before I call the seller back." You know, so you get online, you look at Google Maps, you look at Street View, you look at Zillow, you look at all these other websites, you look at comps, you try to get a picture of the property in the area, and you're like over-analyzing it before you even call the seller. Stop that, you know, just call the seller, ask them those 3 questions. And don't feel like you have to come up with an offer on the phone. Just say, "Hey, listen, if the seller won't tell you kind of what they want, say, listen, let me just crunch some numbers and I'll call you right back," okay? Go to a spreadsheet like this, come up with an offer, and call the seller back. You know, would you consider something maybe in the $30,000 to $35,000 price range, okay? That's all you need to do. Don't overcomplicate it and overthink it. Follow-up is really important. You're going to find that more than 40 to 50% of your deals are going to come from the follow-up. Most wholesalers that are doing a lot of deals are really good at the follow-up. So it's important that you follow up with sellers. If they tell you no, no means not yet. Every seller is going to want to sell their house eventually. Okay, so you follow up with them. Most deals come from the 7th or 8th touch. I see it over and over again. My business, the people that I interview on my podcast, follow up, follow up, follow up. you're going to find like there's this principle of momentum, right? When you start in this business, you start doing your marketing, it's hard at first. Listen, if you're just out there and you're going to try it out, send 1,000 postcards and just try it out, just don't do it. Save your money, don't do it. You've got to be committed. When you first get started, you've got to be committed for at least 6 months before you're going to quit, okay? And it may take 4,000 or 5,000 postcards before you do. I did an interview. Any of you heard of this interview with the guy named Gregory Hodges? Okay. Do you remember, do you remember this philosophy? Yeah. Ethic. I'm not going to use the language here. I interviewed this guy, Greg. I'm in Spain doing a workshop. And he's this guy, this redneck hillbilly. Is that okay to say? I forgot where I was. Look, I got boots on, okay? I'll be good. This redneck hillbilly is in Spain, Barcelona. And he's got his shirt, buttoned down to here, hair popping out, boots, and just sitting there. And I said, hey, I'm Joe, how you doing, Joe? Good, man. I'm going to do a really bad Southern impression, okay? Southern accent. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, Joe, I just, I listened to your podcast, and you said you're doing a workshop in Spain, so I was like, cool, man, I'll come down to Spain. Okay, so what do you do? He said, well, he's a real humble guy, super cool. I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but I did about $850,000 in the last 12 months doing wholesaling. Really? Yeah. I'm not trying to brag or nothing. I just keep it real simple, like. I said, okay. So tell me more. What do you do? He's like, well, I just did what you said to do, Joe. It's like, I don't know why people complicate it. He said, this is my philosophy. Ethic. If more wholesalers, if more students just like F it, they'll do deals, man. And he says, well, what do you mean? And he says, this is so funny, you gotta listen to this interview. If you go to realestateInvestingmastery.com and just do a search for Gregory, I did like 3 podcasts with him. He said, Joe, well, you said to do a bunch of postcards, like send postcards. And I said, all right. I don't got any buyers. I don't understand the contracts, but F it. I'll just figure it out. That's his philosophy, right?
I like it.
He tells a story of like, he's a musician. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic guitar player. And he lives in LA now. He's from South Carolina. He's a fantastic musician. And he was dirt poor. You don't make any money. You work late, you eat bad food, you smoke a lot of cigarettes, and it's like his health is failing, he has no money, he's flat broke, and he starts doing bandit signs, and somebody tells him, hey, you can get arrested for that. He goes, why F it? I don't care. What are they going to do, man? They can't take anything. I have nothing for them to take. It's like, he starts doing a bunch of bandit signs, and he doesn't know what to say to sellers, but F it. And then he doesn't have any buyers, he doesn't have any title companies, he doesn't have a contract. I'm just going to do, Joe says to do it. I had never heard from this guy. Like, I had no idea who he was, and he's doing like $850,000 a year wholesaling in South Carolina. I couldn't believe it. And so it's funny too, because we were teaching people in England how to do lease options in England, and we had this workshop in Spain on the beach, right? And these people in England just love him. Like, they love his accent, they just love his simplicity and his charm, his southern charm, And he was actually it was so funny. Anyway, what was I going to say? He starts doing a bunch of deals, just keeping it really simple. But that was his thing. It's just like, just stop asking so many stupid questions. Like, just effing do it. And you gotta listen to that podcast. I was going to tell you something else, but I'll move on. By the way, he doesn't have a CRM. He doesn't have websites. All of the calls go to his cell phone. You know, he's just like, F it, I don't know what I'm doing. He puts he sends like, at the time he was sending about 30,000, 40,000 postcards a month, right? All of the calls go to his cell phone. Joe, he's like, I get calls and it keeps on beeping in, and I don't know, but like, I'm just like talking. He just has that attitude, he's doing a bunch of deals, you know? That's what it takes. I remember what I was going to say. He starts doing a lot of bandit signs and starts making a little bit of money. And, one of the reasons why he is so successful is because he's accessible, right? He's not hiding behind a website. He's not hiding behind voicemail. He's not hiding behind virtual assistants. People, when they call Gregory, he's going to answer the phone, right? So he's got great relationships. People love him, talking to him, sellers. Then he's got buyers that love him because he answers the phone. I'm telling you, if you want to learn how to do more deals, you're already doing marketing, just answer the phone. That's all you need to do. Just answer the phones. It's so rare in today's busy world for you to get a live person on the phone. I read a statistic somewhere that 93% of calls that come from an unrecognized caller ID goes straight to voicemail. People will click ignore. 93%. So answer your phone when sellers call you, because you may want to pre-screen them out, but you know how hard it's going to be to get back in touch with them and call them back? So answer the phones. So he starts doing a lot of marketing with the signs, and he gets a little bit of money. He reinvested 100% of it back into marketing. And he kept on doing that for the first few months, right? Just reinvesting the money back into marketing. And it's like, I remember it's so funny, he talks about how he wanted to start making more money. And so he's like, he took all of his money that he had in the bank, like 30 grand, and just said, F it. And he put it into postcards. And he didn't spread it out like, I'm going to do 10,000 a week or something crazy. He did like 40, 50,000 all at once. So funny, man. So funny. So I'm in Spain, and it's all the people in England there were like crowding around him, and they didn't want to hear from me anymore. They just wanted to hear from him. All right, so finding cash buyers. I have a really cool letter in here that you'll get in the mind map, and this letter works really, really good. Let's say you get a property under contract and you need to find a cash buyer really quick. The best way to do that is partner with some of the wholesalers here, but what I love to do is I send this desperate, motivated seller yellow letter to nearby investors. So what I do is I'll get a property under contract. I will handwrite, I'll have my assistant do it, like 50, 75 yellow letters. And I'm writing this letter pretending to be a desperate, motivated seller. And I pull a list of all of the investors that own properties nearby. And I'll send them a letter saying, help, I'm desperate. Underline it. I got this property at 123 Main Street. I got to sell this thing today. I'll underline today. Taxes are paid. Title is clear. I need help. Help me now. I'm desperate. So it's all handwritten. And I'm sending it to investors that have bought property in the last year in that neighborhood, right? And then the cool thing that we do is we crumple the letter up and we open it back up and we fold it and put it in an invitation envelope and address the address on the envelope, put a live stamp on it, and mail it. I'm not kidding. Sometimes we get 30 to 40% response rate with these letters. I'll get investors that call me, say, hey man, I just want to, I know what you're doing. You're an investor. I love that letter. It is awesome. I'm not interested in the house, but I just wanted to tell you, I love that letter. So I have the script for that letter in here. It works crazy well. Every time I've needed to find buyers for a deal really quick, this is the best way to do it. And then there's also signs. You can put signs in the neighborhood, call landlords in the area. So you get that in the mind app. But I also put in here a voicemail script if you are doing a lot of marketing and you want to have a script for buyers. Oh, you know what? I put one of my signs. There's a sign that I like. Oh yeah, this is a really good sign. Can you read this? Please help me. I need to sell my house. I'll take anything. You want to get calls? That man sign works like crazy. It works really good. Please help me. I need to sell my house. I'll take it. Okay, so I'm giving you so much in this mind map. It's crazy. We talk about how to close the deal, how to get the money, start marketing the contract. All right, so to get this mind map, it's free. I'm going to give you a website, or you can. I'm going to give you 2 ways to get it, and then I'm going to be done. We'll open it up for questions. Flipmindmap.com, flipmindmap.com, or text the word flip to 313131. So from your phone, if you text the word flip to 313131, you'll be sent back a text with a link, or you go to flipmindmap.com. Now, you need to put in your email address. I'm going to spam you. Like, no, I'm just kidding. I don't. But you need to put your email address in, because I'm going to email you a link to the mind map. So it's got to be a real email address. If you're like me, sometimes when you have to put an email in to get something, I'll just put in a fake email. But I am literally going to email you back a link to this mind map. So it has to be a real email address. But on the next page, you're also going to see I'm doing this new challenge. It's a challenge where I've done deals virtually in other markets before, but this is going to be something where flipmindmap.com, text the word flip to 313131. Okay, so I'm doing this new challenge where I'm selecting a market. I've already got picked somewhere in the South. It's not in Alabama. And I'm going to start doing deals, lease option deals specifically, in this virtual market. And I'm going to be documenting the whole process as I go through it. Now, it's one thing to teach, which is awesome, but it's another thing entirely to demonstrate, like to show and demonstrate actually as we do it. And so I was thinking about this, and I could do it myself, but I'm going to do it a little differently now. I'm actually going to be coaching 2 students on how to do it. So what we're doing is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have a new private Facebook group, secret private Facebook group, and I'm going to be interviewing these students on Facebook Live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we're going to be updating everybody on our progress. So I'm going to be helping them do the marketing, create the marketing plan, build the systems, the CRMs, and all that stuff, and we're going to start marketing for lease options in this one particular market with these students. And on Tuesdays, I'm going to release a new video, like an educational teaching video. It's like 30 minutes to an hour long. And then on Thursdays, we're going to have group coaching calls. Now on these Thursday calls, this is going to last at least 8 weeks. On these group calls, we're going to answer some questions, but we're going to be doing a lot of live seller calls on the group call. I really want to start doing that more and more with my coaching students, like actually talking to sellers live with them. So they can hear me talk to sellers, I can hear them talk to sellers, and just practice. Just practice, practice, practice. So again, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we're going to be releasing videos in the Facebook group talking about, interviewing these students and having them report on their numbers. I'm going to give them a scorecard, and we're going to be helping them and coaching them along and doing their first lease option deal in this other market. These students that I've selected, they've already done regular wholesaling, so I know that they understand the importance of answering the phone. They already, I can trust them, right? I feel like they're going to do a good job. So that's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then Tuesdays are going to be releasing a new educational video, me teaching something about doing deals virtually. On Tuesdays, release those videos, and then on Thursdays, we're going to do group coaching calls where you can ask questions, and we'll be talking to sellers live on those Thursday calls. And then the Facebook group itself is where you can go ask questions and stuff like that. I have a wholesaling lease options course. You get it for free. That other course I talked about, Lease Purchase Wealth, where I was talking to the guy from Coffee, Illinois, I'm giving that course away in it. There is an investment for that. So after you opt in to get this mind map, and in the mind map, I don't hold anything back, guys. It's like step 1 through whatever, 8, on how to do wholesaling. You get the videos and the transcripts All my calculators and scripts and postcards and signs, it's all in that mind map, and that's 100% free. So when you go to flipmindmap.com, you get the mind map. On the next page will be a webinar. I just did this webinar last night. So I put the replay on this page. Watch the webinar, see if you're interested in it. One of the cool things I'm doing is I'm going to be teaching you how to set up a virtual business, right? And what I'm doing is I'm calling it my setup challenge. And if you do what we say or what we teach in this video, and you set up a business where you can do deals virtually, and send me a testimonial, like just set up the business. I'll give you a refund of your money to invest in this program, okay? I used to do things where like, if you do a deal, send me a testimonial and I'll give you a refund. Now it's making it even easier. Like you just set up the business, go through all the modules, set up the CRM, set up the websites, create the marketing plan, start the marketing, maybe hire a VA or something, but get a real business set up. And you don't even have to do a deal yet. Let me know, send me a testimonial, and I will give you your money back. Okay, so it's really cool. But watch that video. It's about an hour of me teaching and then about an hour of questions. So when you look at the video, it might be like 2 hours long. Don't let that freak you out. Like the second half of it is all just me answering questions. Cool? Which let's do that right now. I don't know what time you guys normally get out of here. Who has questions? How are we doing, Brian?
Yeah, let's do about 10, 15 minutes, about 10 minutes of questions.
Okay, cool. Who has questions? Yes?
What virtual assistant company do you work with?
Virtual assistant company, what virtual assistant company do I use? There's a couple of them, but I recommend a couple websites. One would be virtualstafffinder.com. The second one, onlinejobs.ph. Virtualstafffinder.com. The other one is onlinejobs.ph. And of course there's Upwork, which everybody kind of knows about that, but Upwork with a K. Upwork. There are some companies I could recommend that have pre-trained real estate investor trained VAs, but they're really expensive. I wouldn't recommend them yet. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, any other questions? There's got to be a question up there somewhere about outsourcing. What are the 3 things that your VA should be doing? And only 3 things your VA should be doing. Number 1, marketing. They should be managing all your marketing, tracking your numbers. Okay? Number 2, they should be updating your CRM. You need to step away from the computer. You need to focus on your highest revenue generating activities, which is talking to sellers, making offers, right? So you should not be behind the computer updating your CRM. That's a $5 an hour activity. You need to be focused on the $500 an hour activities. You show me somebody who's really good at building CRMs, and I'll show you a broke wholesaler. You guys get what I'm saying? Some of you don't understand that yet, but you may not even know what a CRM is. But step away from the computer. You need to get somebody else to update your CRM for you.
Joe, at what point should you get a VA?
Great question.
There's some people in here that they'd be like, I'm brand new. I don't even know what a VA is.
Yeah, good. Well, I'll answer that in a minute. There's 3 things your VA should be doing: marketing, updating your CRM, and doing all your follow-up for you. Your VA should be doing all your follow-up. Now, when do you hire a VA? That's a good question. Like, if you only have $500 or $1,000 a month to spend on marketing, right? Do you do marketing or do you get a VA? My general philosophy is, and it's different for everybody, but like you should spend all your money on marketing when you first get started. Get a deal under your belt, reinvest half of your money back into marketing, and maybe the other half in getting a virtual assistant. I couldn't do my business without a VA. I had VAs for years and years and years. You'll find that as you start doing this, like there's a lot of tedious stuff, and you're worth so much more than that. I mean, you need to get somebody to update the CRM for you, to send the texts, to send the emails, to do your marketing. You need to get somebody else to do that. So outsource your marketing as quickly as possible to a really good VA after your first deal, maybe. Now, if you've got more money, I would hire a VA right away. And don't think that you have to like understand everything to train the VA. All you need to do is like give the VA this course right here, right? Make the VA go through this training. Give the VA, a lot of you have other courses and stuff, give the VAs the course and say, go through these modules and watch this stuff, okay? Any other questions? Good questions. Yes?
So the show, you talked about partnering with wholesalers to farm out the leads when you're traveling. How do you track those leads to make sure that they're getting followed up and that the deals are closing and that they're getting compensated?
Very good question.
Do you add Podio or
Yeah.
do you put a virtual assistant follow up?
Yes.
Can you explain the process?
I have a local assistant who is a realtor. And as you start doing more deals, I highly recommend getting a local assistant. I talk a lot about virtual assistants, but like when I got a local assistant, my income and productivity tripled. So I have my local assistant, who also is a realtor, by the way. She manages the leads for me. And so every lead comes into Podio. I have to see the A to B side in there and the B to C side, right? Like I want to see the HUDs, I want to see the contracts. Everything has to be tracked inside of Podio. And I tell my local wholesaler, you don't even have to get in here if you don't want. I use Voxer. Voxer is a smartphone messaging app. It's amazing. V-O-X-E-R. The basic version is free. The pro version is maybe 20, 30 bucks a year. It's amazing. And so I tell my wholesaler, listen, you get these leads in an email or whatever. Don't worry about updating the CRM yourself. Just send my VA a Voxer message and we'll update the CRM for you. And like, so my wholesaler will say, all right, so I talked to this lead at 123 Main Street. It's listed right now. It expires in a couple months. Remind me in 2 months to call them back and go ahead and send them an offer for 120 grand. And so it's done. And my VA updates the Podio, you know, and that stuff happens. So can it happen that the VA goes behind my back and steals one of my leads? Sure, but it's very rare for that to happen. I pick the wholesaler first, then I pick the market. Right? My wholesaler determines the market. So these are people that I already know have good reputations. I trust them. And the last thing they want to do is go around behind my back and stiff me on a deal. Why? Because I'm the rainmaker. I'm the one who's spending all the money on marketing. I'm pre-screening the leads. I'm setting up the systems. I'm doing the follow-up. And I'm giving them these leads on a golden platter. Like the last thing they want to do is stop that from happening anymore, right? Because I'm doing all this work, and all they have to do is call the best leads that come in, right? Most of the wholesalers I work with, this isn't for everybody, but most of the wholesalers that I work with, they just want to be in their truck all day looking at houses and talking to sellers, right? They don't want to be in the office messing with a bunch of phone calls and trying to keep track of all of these things. Their gifts and strengths are talking to sellers, making offers, and that kind of stuff, right? So I'm working with the wholesalers that really see what I do as super valuable to them, right? I'm the goose laying the golden egg, and if they were to go around me on a deal, then I'm not going to send them any more leads, right? So even though I'm splitting the deal 50-50, I would argue it's a pie I'm splitting 50-50. It's a bigger pie when I do this. Because the local wholesaler is good at negotiating. He can meet belly button to belly button with the seller at the kitchen table, however that works. But they can meet with the seller. They're going to negotiate a lower price than what I could over the phone, right? And they have better buyers than I do, so they can sell it for more than I can. So the profit's bigger, and they can sell it faster than I could. So even though I'm splitting the profit with them, everybody wins if it's done right. So tracking it all in Podio, that's the long answer to a good question. Any other questions? Oh, somebody's got some questions. Don't be afraid to ask. No question is stupid.
What's your biggest challenge at this present moment?
My biggest challenge at this present moment, I still have I have this chasing shiny object syndrome. Okay, I know a lot of you can relate, right? Shiny object, yes. Oh, I want to do that. I can do that. And so I'm doing a lot of land investing right now, like flipping vacant lots. And we're doing deals. We're flipping vacant lots in Colorado and Oregon right now. In the middle of nowhere, like 2 hours away from the city, right? And it's actually working. I'm doing deals, but it's another one of those shiny objects. Like, here's the thing, shiny objects will make you go blind. Focus will make you rich, right? Focus will make you rich. Stop chasing shiny objects. So I'm constantly buying these courses, chasing this. There was a period of time when I was thinking I would start selling Amazon products. What? And I thought, well, it'd be easy. I just buy this guy's course and I can hire a VA to do it for me, you know. That was stupid. Stupid. And then I chased this other shiny object. This is about 10 months ago on doing affiliate marketing and Facebook ads. So like, I had these friends at church that I knew were struggling financially. And so I had this brilliant idea. I can help them. I'll buy this guy's course on how to start a Facebook ad agency. And I'll partner with these guys who will run it for me. And we'll split the deals, split the money that they make. Well, that's just another. It's nice to want to be helpful to other people, you know, but like that, I realized, I did buy the course, but I realized like that is a distraction. That's going to take away from like where I'm making most of my income. So my biggest challenge is not chasing shiny objects and staying focused. Focused. Does that make sense? One of the problems I had in the beginning is I was trying to be a jack of all trades, but I was a master of none. I was trying to do rehabbing, I was trying to do short sale, I was trying to do landlord, and I was trying to do wholesaling and lease options and all this stuff. It wasn't until I just focused on one strategy, and that was lease options for me. I ignored everything else, just lease option. I started making a lot of money, and that's when I quit my job. So I still have to keep, it's a lesson I'm still learning. Good question. Anything else? Cool.
Joe, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hello, check. Are you going to stick around and take some pictures with some people?
Pictures.
Yeah. A lot of people want to take some pictures with you.
Sure. Thanks.
We're gonna do some pictures over here in front of the cool little AlaREIA banner. Oh, hold on. We got something for you, Joe. For coming to Alabama, this is your first time in Alabama. I think you drove through it one time.
I drove through to go to Gulf Shores, or no, not Seagrove Beach.
We got you a couple of gifts. Got you a T-shirt.
Alabama, is that what it says? Or
It's a cool little shirt. And
I don't want to make fun of me.
I want to tick off any Auburn people in here. But we got you the real football team. Yes. We got you a good sweatshirt. This is time for the ball. Little roll tide.